Hey, Don.
Hey there, how you doing, Brian? Doing good.
Good, good.
Good.
How
Yeah,
are
I
you
saw your
today?
note. I saw your note earlier this morning or yesterday about what's your status. I know you've been accepted. I
Oh,
just
great.
don't know. I just don't know if we've got the response out to you. So we're working that back through the system. Our admin had some real family issues last week, so we're trying to get those.
Gotcha. I know Tiffany had a question about that too. Because I don't think she got an individual application. I'm pretty sure I just forwarded it to her and she filled it out off of mine.
Okay. What
I'm
we
not
want to
sure if
do
that
is
messes things up or not.
um
I didn't even fill it out.
Oh, you didn't fill it
Just
out. Okay.
because when I clicked on it, it would just show his application.
yeah, we'd rather have you do it through the link that she sends you. But I was just telling Tiffany, I was just telling Brian that our admin person had some real family issues last week, and so
Yeah.
she wasn't able to get to some of the things. She's got it on her list. We talked about it yesterday in our strategic planning offsite.
Yeah.
So she's catching up. So we will get you straightened out. But I'm glad
Well,
you're
that's
both,
good news. I appreciate it.
yeah, you're both approved. We just got to get you formally approved through a note to say, hey, you're approved. Bing, 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 bing.
Well,
And then
Sure.
yeah,
hopefully everything with her family works out okay.
thanks. I haven't heard the word on there was a big thing that happened last night, but I didn't hear. Did you hear it, Matt?
He's home.
Is she? Okay, good.
Yes, he's home.
Good. So that big thing happened. So it's resolving.
Hey, how are y'all?
Hey,
Good. Good
Hey,
to see you,
Brian.
Braden.
Hey.
1st of June, January. Okay, here's the big question for the day, guys. Are you ready for this? This is going to make you think hard. I want you to really know in. Today is National Hot Chocolate Day. Are you a milk chocolate person, a dark chocolate person, a peppermint, a Mexican chocolate person, sea salt person? Not just chocolate, but hot chocolate. Or are you not a hot chocolate person? What do you think?
I'm lactose intolerant, sorry.
Oh, okay. Is that Praven? Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, my wife is, and I found that I am developing it. So we drink lactose-free milk and all kinds of stuff. We stay away from a lot of stuff, which keeps me away from a lot of desserts. But as Matt knows, I love desserts. So I do hot water and hot chocolate. Raven, I don't know if that helps.
oh,
Anybody else?
I think I like traditional milk chocolate.
Milk chocolate. Okay, that's all right. My wife will not eat milk chocolate. She's a dark chocolate person. And guess what tomorrow is? National Dark Chocolate Day. So
You must have a very fun calendar somewhere.
yeah. we happened to be talking about it a little bit yesterday at our strategic offsite, thinking about thinking about fundraising campaigns, and there's a site called National Day of, and you can just Google it and it'll pop up for the day, the today, tomorrow, the next week, the next month. You can see them all.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention tomorrow's the first day of Black History Month as well.
Say it again.
I said I'd be remiss
Black
if I
History
didn't
Month?
mention that tomorrow's the first day of Black History Month as well.
That is an important one. Yep, that is important. Hey, we're excited that you guys are here. I know you've all been here before. Praven, I don't know if we've caught you up fully on your application and stuff like that. So if you've submitted it, we're probably still processing. I know you've been approved, but we were just saying our admin person had some real family issues last week, and it's just starting to get resolved. So she's catching up. So we'll get those taken care of. I'm taking notes to her, and I'll talk to her hopefully this afternoon or tomorrow, and we'll go through those.
wonderful.
So
Thank you.
yeah. So apologize for us being a little late. Tiffany, I'm glad you're off on a separate link today, separate Zoom, so that we can get you, because as Anne Marie said, our system now is set up to your email and to you logging in via your email to this link. And that way
That's good. We're on opposite sides of the house.
There you go.
We have our own offices, so it's fine.
Well, that's good for you. Yeah.
it's a short
All right.
commute, right?
That's right. Hey, we always start with looking back to the previous spotlight or the previous discussions, because we want to do is, this is all about you and getting the information you need to advance in your business. So what did we talk last time? I think we had, Matt, you can help me here, but I think it was, I had a note here, QTG, ideas to cover starting business and lessons learned through COVID. And that was through Quentin Taylor Garcia. So we were talking about lessons. We gave a lot of conversation about that. And then I think there was one about just lessons learned with COVID on your business. Anything you guys took away from those that helped you in the last 2 weeks? Or set you up?
Don, one housekeeping thing. Is there any way that you can increase your volume? Because you sound quieter than everybody else.
Okay. Is everybody hearing that? Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe slightly louder.
How's that?
Okay, much
Better?
better.
Yeah, for some reason my microphone and my settings had gone way down.
Mm.
I'm normally not told I'm too quiet, so that's all right. But I appreciate you speaking up, Brian. All right. So just to repeat, anything you guys took from the discussions last time, the spotlight, the discussions in the middle that helped you in the last 2 weeks or set you up for future?
I don't know if we're expecting Quentin. I'd be interested to see how he processed what we all talked about, because
Yep.
he had sort of two polar opposite niches to serve, I think, that he was talking about.
Yeah, I was hoping so too, but I don't see him yet. So we'll ask him as soon as he comes in, if he comes in. All right. Well, if nothing there, what I want to do is move to the education moment. So the reason we go through that in the beginning, like I say, is this is all about you guys. It's all about helping you advance. So sometimes we need to go backwards and just say, you know, what did we capture? And make sure that just because Quentin comes up with the idea that we're all listening, because we're all in business and we all, you know, going to get benefit out of it. So here's the question for you. When somebody asks you what you do, what do you say? This is the education moment.
Well, I'll take a flyer at it. I say that I help veteran-owned businesses and nonprofits to effectively market themselves online and optimize lead generation and fundraising.
Okay. How about you, Tiffany?
I say I'm a pediatrician who now focuses their time on parent coaching and helping families create connection.
Outstanding. Raven, I know you're just getting started in yours, but
Yeah, so I would take myself as like a problem solver, right?
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I want to go ahead.
yeah, that's about it.
I want to present something to you that I am learning and I'm trying to perfect. One thing that we focused on yesterday for our nonprofit and our strategic planning offsite is what's our goal, our target for the year? What are we going to go for in terms of fundraising? And we put a number down, and what the beauty of the targets also was in Grant Cardone's class last week, and he talks about targets are everything. If you don't have a target for your revenue, you're probably not going to hit it, right? Because the value of putting the target down is it creates ideas inside your head to be able to generate that. And but I was also working in this topic. I was working with Forbes Riley. Forbes Riley is like she is known as the queen of pitch. She has made $2.5 billion in her career by pitching products. She used to be embodied by Jake. She helped him come up with that. They ended up selling that thing to a TV show for $500 million. So she is the queen of pitch. And she says when asked what we do, what we say, we talk all about ourselves. And I heard it a lot, and that's probably what bothers me when I think about, you know, when the elevator pitch. Now, elevator pitches are different than your business pitch, but it's still kind of the same idea. Is you need to be talking about what we can do for them. We need to resonate with them. But too often we do exactly what you and I do, what we all just talked about. Hi, I'm Don Gleason, and I'm a career transition coach. I run a mastermind. I have 8 to 10 people in a cohort. We meet bi-weekly. We do it for 6 months. It's all about me, right? But what they care about is what we can do for them. So she came up with a strategy. It's 4 simple pieces. Your name, and she says too often we whip through our name and people don't catch it because we're trying to get to the point, right? Hi, I'm Don Gleason, and I'm versus hi, I'm Don Gleason. So they catch it. And I'm known as the career transition expert. 3 words, not 2, not 4, 3 words that captures the attention. And then there's a because piece. And this is kind of that bragging piece, but it's results oriented. It's something that matters to them, right? I'm a career transition expert because of the 48 alumni we've had in our transition program. Those in the job for at least a year leave at 50% less rate than their peers. So it's something that resonates with them. And then what do I want? I want to talk to you about being a financial partner. So this is kind of the pitch I'm working to perfect with her. And we're walking through it. I've got another mastermind with her tomorrow night, and that's another 3-hour training in a couple of weeks. And we're going through and really perfecting it. So I just wanted to give you that idea. Name, I'm known as, because, what do you want? I can think about that from an elevator pitch for a job, right? I'm Don Gleason, and I am an environmental engineer because I have worked throughout the Air Force in my career, solving problems for the military and making sure we didn't get compliance issues. I would like to talk to you about working for you and doing the same thing. That could be an elevator pitch for joining a company, right? Think about it from an HR perspective. Daryl's not here, but my name's Daryl Treadwell, and I am your human resources expert because I've worked with 15 companies elevating their profit. No, house, I'm talking about them, not me. It's not my process, it's them. I've helped them elevate their finances by 50% in the first year. I would like to talk to you about what I could do for you. What do you think? Does that resonate?
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably tweak that a little bit, depending on the context, depending on the environment, right? So
Sure.
say if you're at a networking event, that's kind of like hit as many people as you can in the room, that'd be fine. I wouldn't, it would seem a little bit forward to me, just in a more casual conversation, I'd say.
Sure. You're exactly right. You're gonna do it a little bit different in each setting based upon who they are and what they want. But the key is to know what you're going to say before you walk in, so you're not stumbling. She asked a whole bunch of people in the class, and we had about 30 people on the Zoom here, and she goes, "Hey, Don, tell me what you do." And most people are like, "Well, I do a lot of things." And it's really kind of complicated. And at that point, they're like, don't even care anymore, right? Because she wasn't prepared. So the key is, like you're saying, Brian, is have it targeted, but think about it beforehand.
Yeah. I personally like to have the other person ask me what I can, ask me to do something versus my saying, I'd like to do this for you. I'd like whatever I said beforehand to be compelling enough for them to, if they are in my target market, say, oh, I definitely want to talk to you about that.
Yeah. Here's a key piece from Matt, Mr. Public Affairs. Matt, what do you teach in public affairs training in terms of responding to a reporter's question? Do you just straight out answer their question?
No.
What do you do?
No, you do not. I went through a whole class on how to reframe the question to how you'd like them.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
I got a perfect score on my crisis media training when I went through the public affairs supervisor's course. I reversed the question.
That is the important part.
I want them to.
Yeah, you're reframing the question, right? They may ask you the question, what do you do? But they don't really care what you do. They want to know what you can do for me. And that's why that'd be my response, Brian, is most people care about. So it's like doing a social media post. I do a bunch of stuff and I talk about me and I just hope that they ask me the question. Well, guess what? Most of them don't. Most of them just look at it and say, oh, isn't that interesting? Brian posted about this today. That's kind of cool. Boom, I'm off to the next post. But if you put something down there that gets them to think and you do a call to action, hey, I'm looking for to have a conversation with you. They may say, oh, wow, look at that. He does that. Yeah, maybe I need to call him. So I think it's the same idea.
I think it's one of our biggest faults in general across our social media channels that people don't know what we do. We don't know what our friends do either. Friends.
That's right.
So
because too often we don't tell them, do we?
Yeah, it's good to talk about it from time to time. Sure.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to pick on Matt again. Have you told people what you really do? Straight up.
Depends on the context of the conversation.
Well, on social media.
All the time. But again, like Brian was saying, I ascertain what their needs are, and then I reflect. So if I'm talking to a college student or a high school student,
But you're on social media. You're talking to everybody.
Don, you're not letting me answer my question.
I know.
I'm trying to frame the question in the way that I want to respond. Okay.
Mhm.
So what I'm saying is, I put it in context of what I think their need is, and I don't come up and say, "Oh, I can help you with LinkedIn. You're a college kid." Yeah, yeah. I ask them what they want to do, and I said, "Have you thought about this?" Okay.
Get them
So I
thinking.
come across soft.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to bring that point forward in the education moment is thinking about how we present ourselves. Are we interesting them? Or are we just answering the question? Right. And I would encourage you to watch their eyes, watch their body language. I started doing this a couple of years ago when I started getting into business. And my first couple of pitches were like, they basically turned around and walked away. And I was like, oh, that didn't work. I need to work on that. I mean, they didn't physically work around, but you could see them check out of the conversation. Last thoughts, and we'll move on to wins and challenges. Tiffany, anything? You've been quiet.
No, it's a good reminder for me to actually get into the conversation of what I do and introduce myself. My marketing person / husband kind of always reminding me that I don't actually tell people what I do.
Mm-hmm. Most of us don't. Not in these terms that resonates with them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
too often we're very shy about it. We don't want to put ourselves out there. Fear of success, fear of failure, fear of criticism, limiting beliefs. Yep. I've faced a lot of those. I'm still facing some. So
Generally, in Tiffany's case, I think Matt should be, no, Brand should be the one introducing her, right? Because I often do that in the parties too, like, hey, meet my wife. She's a doctor, right? And my wife gets really happy and beamed up. It's considered kind of insensitive if she introduces herself as a doctor,
No, he would introduce me in social settings. We're talking about on my social media and the posts that I
Mhm.
make and those aspects with calls to action. But
Mhm. Oh, I see.
yeah. The key Brian said is every situation is going to be a different way to
Yeah.
present it because you're looking for a different thing, right? You got to know what you're looking for and don't go right to the end, right? Just because you're having a conversation, a network meeting doesn't mean you're trying to get a contract with that person.
Absolutely.
Maybe you just want to have a conversation with them to explain what you do. Maybe you want a referral. Maybe you do want a contract. You don't know yet until you get to know them.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I'm enjoying a new book called What's in It for Them. It's by a guy named Joe Polish, Polish. And it
Anything
talks
more
all
about it?
about this.
Go ahead. Sorry.
What's in it for them?
By Joe Polish.
Yeah.
Anything about the book that's intrigued you so far?
Well, he's a guy I've been following for a while. He runs a mastermind called the Genius Network. And yeah, just I've enjoyed his content for some time.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. I'm gonna have to go look that up.
He's definitely one of the bigger mastermind type figures,
Mm-hmm.
And with kind of Tony Robbins, these guys, the OC, all those guys.
Cool.
So worth having on your radar.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, have you heard of anybody today has given you a reason why they're not going to be here? I just want to keep pressing forward, but just wanted to double check. Quentin or Daryl or anybody? Nope. Okay.
I just reached out to Daryl because he's missed 2 in a row, and I just while you were doing that, I was doing all, hey, using Keep. Missed your smiling face.
Good. All right, let's jump into wins and challenges. Prabin, I'm going to start with you. What's wins and Prabin's got a call. Okay, tell us when you're back in. Tiffany, I'm going to come to you then for.
all right. So my win in the past 2 weeks was actually creating the time and take some time to brain dump and work on my mission for the transformation of my business, and work on gaining clarity with that. challenge. It's not completed. My
Okay.
biggest challenge tends to be a lot of hats, and creating the focus time to work on my business with all the other things that I do, with all the other things that I do. So I am striving to get better about actually sticking to the schedule that I create in that, but
Okay,
I'm not going to make excuses.
that's all right. No, we all face that. I mean, that's
Telemedicine, I homeschool the kids, I run the household. There's a lot of hats. And while serving my current clients, working on transitioning to a different way,
yep.
you have to find a way to do it.
Okay, we may come back to that. Let's put that one on a target for today, because we talked about it in the previous one as well. Brian, how about yourself?
So I caught up with an acquaintance of mine, and just to talk, fellow veteran, and as it turns out, he's been trying to launch an e-commerce store for a while now and hasn't been able to put it together. So we decided to have another meeting with his business partner and three of us, and it looks like they'll be enrolling as a new client with putting a sales funnel together, e-commerce enabled, with our CRM on the back end, which has a lot of automations, like sort of like Keep, which I used to call Confusionsoft because it was Infusionsoft.
That's what
we
it
have
was,
something
yep.
along we have something along those lines that real humans can manage. So I'm excited about that. And also I got a chance to hopefully Praveen comes on soon. He was nice enough to take a look at my CRM and some lead generation software that we've built on top of it. And you know, he's a software engineer, so I thought his input would be valuable, and it was. And yeah, so those were a couple wins for me, business wins.
Okay, challenges.
Yeah, challenges. I guess you know, I like to look for the one thing that's going to really move the needle. Another great book, of course, by Gary Keller. But it's easy to forget that, and it's easy to get distracted and work on sort of busy work that you're feeling you're getting something done and not really, you know, while skirting around the most important thing that you need to do. So I fall victim to that, and I had to just remind myself. And it feels like this last week's had sort of a lot of distractions.
Yeah, that's two of you. I'm going to put that one as a third one. I'm
It
the
must
third
be
one in that group.
contagious.
Yeah, I don't know if Matt struggles with that, being busy versus being productive, letting distractions get in the way.
I did hit
Matt's not going to answer me.
I also did get a client of mine who was very, very far behind in terms of online marketing. He got his first client from the web, from Google, and different things we've been working on. So that was a good win as well.
Okay, perfect.
He never got a client from online before.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to read into Matt's look at me when I asked him the question.
I didn't mean to interrupt Matt's.
You didn't mean, you didn't interrupt him. He didn't say anything. Raven, are you back yet? I think he's still on a call.
Yes,
Oh, you're
I'm back.
Okay.
Sorry, I got calls certainly
That's
suddenly.
all right. That's all right. So wins and challenges
For last week.
for the last 2 weeks. Yep, since you left, since we last saw you.
Oh, okay. I started working on the business plan for my wife's dental clinic, you know,
Excellent.
and yeah, I've been taking a lot of help from this new AI called like the Chat GPT.
Chat GPT.
Yeah.
So it's definitely helping me create like the outlines. You know, it's not extensive, but it is definitely showing me how to do it. Right. So I got some skeleton and I need to expand on that. I saw Brian's CRM solution, which is really good, right? I'm really impressed by it. I think I have seen like a couple of startups in Silicon Valley who are just making a lot of money just from like one piece of his software.
Mhm.
So his software has a lot of future, but at the same time, there are like some heavy hitters like Salesforce, Microsoft entering into this foray. So it's a scary part too. So I would definitely count Brian like really brave, right? Mm, I'm really amazed like he devoted so much time and got a
That's cool.
excellent product.
Thanks, partner.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to dedicate that much time, So kudos to you. That's really good. Um,
How about challenges?
Challenges, just trying to sort out this work life, this family life, and just last week, there was like a sudden announcement, like every week on Wednesdays, I'll have to go to the office, which I absolutely hate.
Was that right?
So yeah, so with this going to office on Wednesdays, I won't be able to dedicate any time on anything except for going to the work and being
Work
there.
that day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Other days you have freedom to do your work and do other things during the day, right? When they need to be done, right?
Right. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I would spend like a couple of hours on my work and then start analyzing my life, start reading, and working out. Like I would do a lot of my personal development and personal stuff.
Yeah.
So
So let me ask, Praven, 3 out of 4 of us so far have come forward and said the piece of removing distractions from the day and staying focused is an issue. Do you have that problem?
yes, a lot. I have several interests, right? And I read a lot. And on each of these topics, I want to deep dive. So I must have like 1,000 tabs open on my computer. And I don't know when I'm going to get to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah.
if you guys are open to, does anybody have a topic that they brought forward? So thanks. I'm going to wrap up wins and challenges there. Thanks, Braden.
Mhm.
Does anybody have an idea they brought forward to talk about? Otherwise, I'm going to propose that we go back to Tiffany. And if you're open to it, you can be kind of the center, but we'll ask questions. But I think we can all benefit from the idea of how do we deal with the distractions? How do we stay focused? Because there's so much stuff going on. Would you,
I'm
did
open.
anybody, you're open to that?
Yeah.
Okay. Did anybody else have another issue they wanted to talk about today?
No, but I have to preface this with the utmost admiration for all that Tiffany does, and so many things they're not busy work or traditionally distractions, they're necessities and mission critical to everything she does for us. So
Okay.
I think she's a good person to focus on because she does probably more than any of us.
Okay. So let's start with this. What is a distraction? It's open conversation.
I mean, I would say a distraction is something that takes our attention away from our intended focus at that moment.
Okay. I like that. Any other people? Anybody else got an idea?
Yeah, I think I learned the most about the fallacy of multitasking from this book, The One Thing by Gary Keller. And I'll probably I'm probably gonna upload a couple of images on here because they really show that how much time is wasted going from, even if you just, quick thing like, oh, check your email and then go back to your task. You're losing so much time and spending so much mental energy trying to get off one topic to the next one, back to the other one. It's hellacious.
Some people really argue that, don't they? They say they can multitask. And
Not too well. Not too well.
It's been scientifically proven you
Yeah.
can't. Your mind focuses on one thing at a time.
Our
And that's the
brain
problem with
focus.
distractions, right?
Yeah.
The problem with distractions is I'm trying to focus on this, but I have all these other things in my head that have to be done. How do I knock them out? I love what you said, Tiffany. It's anything that distracts you from your intended focus, right? Because let me ask the question: Can a distraction be a high priority task?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Can it be a low priority task?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so they can be important things, right? It's not just junk, right? It doesn't have to be just, I want to go scroll on LinkedIn, which happens. I want to go scroll on Facebook, which happens, right? I want to make a phone call to my wife just to see how she's doing. It happens, but it's not business focused, right?
Yeah.
They
Or
may
your
or
kid
may not.
crashes his bike.
What's that?
The kid crashes his bike and needs to go to the hospital.
Well, that becomes a high, and that definitely is a distraction, took you away, right? Yeah, it's a high priority.
What's happened?
Yeah. So let's what I want to do is focus this on a main question, Tiffany. When you say the problem is removing distractions, define it a little bit more. You take about 30 seconds to define a little bit more, and then we can ask you some questions, and then we can give some advice.
Sure. What I have a tendency to struggle with, I don't even know if it's removing distractions as much as clarifying what I'm, it's both, I guess.
Mhm.
Clarifying what I'm going to be working on and actually setting down to that task at the same time with the mental list of all the other things that get to be done in my life. And then also when I am trying to be on task with certain things, not being interrupted by, I don't want to throw my kids under the bus, but by children, algebra, noise, the dog,
Other
the
people's
husband,
priorities, right?
the husband wanting to know what's for lunch, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So there's, like I said, there's a lot of different areas that I work on. So first of all, it's just trying to figure out what is actually a priority. And when I'm trying to redo my business and make it more sustainable and more of a legacy
Mhm.
business, that I recognize that needs to be a focus to actually make it happen. And at the same time, I have so many other plates in the air that are actually running, and between telemedicine and running the family and serving my other clients and homeschooling the kids and all of the other stuff, I don't tend to find the creative. And then when I've created it, to be in a state to be creative with it instead of just saying, well, now I have this time to sit down. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm creatively coming up with the mission or the outline for the book or the other things that I say I want to do just because I allotted that time. So figuring out how to make it an effective use of time.
Okay, so I heard you say two things. One, clarity on what I'm going to work on during this time, and how to track or kind of push aside the mental aspect of the other tasks you have to work on. So let's ask some questions. This is about clarifying from Tiffany what she's kind of working on, things she's tried, what the impact is, right? Help us understand a little bit more as we dig into it a little bit, and then we're going to go to advice. So no advice up front. Matt, you got a question?
I do. Tiffany, do you set aside time for specific tasks?
So
I
kind of like
do.
block scheduling, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The question wasn't, do I stick to it? The question was,
I was just going to say supplemental. How's it working
do
for
I
you?
set it aside? I, in fact, do outline.
How's it working for you?
Except for the things that I am committing to doing with other people, which I always show up for and show up on time for, I'm not as great at honoring the commitments that are exclusively to myself.
Thanks for being open. That's a tough one to admit.
Yeah.
Anybody else got a
I'm an
question?
open book.
Yeah. That's the way you improve, right?
Yeah.
That's why we're here. Raven, you got a question at all?
Sorry, earlier somebody came into the door and I had to run. So I have distractions throughout the day. So yeah, I have a lot of distractions too, what I tend to do is
this is a question for Tiffany, focused in on the exact two things. You may have not have heard this. She talked about two things. It's keeping clarity on what she's working on,
okay.
and then trying to track the mental list of things that all have to be done, but not during this time period, but they distract her. So what question would you have to help understand that a little bit better, or her to dig in a little bit?
frankly, I also have that problem, right? So
I think we all do.
I'm on the
Yeah.
same board.
Yeah.
Uh,
This is the beauty. We get to ask Tiffany the question that we really want to ask ourselves.
Mm.
Matt asked the question, do you block schedule? And she said, yes. I said, but is it productive? And she said, yeah, only when it's with other people.
do you write things down as issues come up, the distractions come up, like, and tell yourself like, hey, I have the confidence to get this done after I finish this current task.
Self-talk.
Yeah. And then Pomodoro
Tiffany?
technique.
Tiffany?
I do write down what is I need to get done. I don't lack any confidence that I can get done anything that I actually can create the time to get done, but I would say that I probably lack the confidence that I'm going to figure out the time. The issue is that what tends to give is the direct focus on my business, because I can do all the other things.
Right.
But
Nice.
yes, I have lots of lists and notebooks.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? Do you block schedule the distractions?
No, I mean, maybe some of them, maybe, but no, not as much, I guess.
Okay. When you do, does it help?
I don't tend to honor, if I put it on the calendar, I don't tend to honor that as the time that I'm going to
Okay.
focus on the distraction. So
Another question for you, Tiffany. Do you forgive yourself when you don't honor that time?
I'm not very good at being kind to myself when I don't feel like I've been as productive as I wanted to be. I'm working on that. I truly am working on that. I notice that when it may sound silly, but when it's a rainy day, I actually feel a sense of relief because it takes off the like, I should be getting the kids outside. I should be running this. Like there's less of that. And I actually feel like I have more time to focus. So being kind to myself is something I teach people and strive to do, but
Yep.
I have always tended to be a pretty high achiever and continuing to work on being a human being, not a human doing, but.
I'll throw a question in.
Please.
Do you feel like you enforce your boundaries with your family members in a gentle but strong way enough to give you uninterrupted periods of concentration?
No. That was a loaded question. You knew the answer. No, I don't feel like I do that.
No, but it's an important one. I was wondering how this is going to play out with husband and wife.
But
that was
I take it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how long you and Matt have been married, but yeah, we're doing it here.
Yeah. Well, what have we been? 3 years in this business together and a year or two before that. So we got about 5 years together.
Technically 3 years of marriage.
Well, like I said, 3 years in the business and 2 years we
Yeah.
were working together on a number of things before that. Yep.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
So there's this thing called delegation, right? Sorry, it sounds so pedantic.
No, it's
Sorry.
critical in a business.
So do you use a technique called Pomodoro? It helps me a lot.
What's it called?
Pomodoro. So it's like a 25-minute sprint followed by a 5-minute rest. So after 4 sprints, you rest for 15 minutes.
Interesting.
Pomodoro technique.
Yeah,
Which in the 15 minutes, you get to do anything you want to do, right? It could be scrolling on Facebook. It could be prepping for lunch. It could be talking to somebody. It could be whatever.
Yeah.
So do you use Pomodoro, Tiffany?
I do not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I just
we'll come back to advice.
Let's see, I sleep about 5 hours. So the 19-hour sprint.
19 hours. Okay. So Tiffany, what has worked for you in this area?
Ultimately, in getting things accomplished in my life, what has worked for me is deadlines.
Okay.
Strict deadlines. I get things done. accountability to other people, I will show up for other people. It is helpful. Like I have a schedule, so my morning starts off better if everyone's asleep, so that helps. It's so getting up in the morning and doing my meditation and my morning pages and outlining my day before I log in for my telemedicine shift usually starts things off on the right foot, and then I get distracted from there, like
Yep.
washing the dishes, running the dishwasher on my way into the office, and thinking about all the other things that need to be done.
Okay. All
I
right, we're
start
about
off
ready to go to
focused for
advice.
about 1 hour.
Yeah. So, any other questions? Brian, anything you want to know about what you're doing and how
I'm
you can
not,
help her?
I'm not, wait, say again?
Anything you want to know about what you're doing that can help her? I kind of almost sensed that was in your question, right? You were kind of bringing it
Yes,
on the table, but it was, do you enforce boundaries? You know, and maybe she's
yes.
not, and she
And
said she's not
yes,
enforcing boundaries. So there's a piece that you might be able to help her with.
well, exactly. I mean, because I'm part of that too. I mean, the kids much more, but I'm definitely part of that. So yes, that's kind of where I was going. But I don't want to push my luck. I'm going to keep quiet for now, and then
Yeah, we'll
we'll
help
do
you.
it
We'll take that pressure.
right.
Brian bought me my the noise canceling
Ah,
headphones,
yeah.
right? Which were intended to serve more as like, yes, it cancels noise, but it's more as like a visual to the people in my space. The kids are 12 and a half and 14 years old. So it's a visual to the people in my space, like mom's working on something that unless you're actively bleeding, don't interrupt. However, every single person, including Brian, who bought these for me, will look at me and now wave in front of me until I take them off to see what it is that they want. So
Well, that could be a new rule we enforce or reinforce.
That's a good one.
That is a good
That's
one.
good. Yep. Just
So
another question. I forgot it, but go ahead, Matt.
I have a question. I have a comment. So like you guys, my wife is like downstairs, and we've kind of set up some rules about when she can and can't come in when the doors close. That's one
No,
thing.
no
Okay,
advice yet, though, right?
oh, sorry. You're right. Right.
Unless you had a question in there.
No.
Okay. Tiffany, is your office space family space? Are people walking through it, or is it like an office closed door segregated?
no, my office is also the dining room, so I can shut those doors. There is the door to the kitchen over there that does not actually have a door, but no one really comes use the dining room for dinner. But if I'm in
Okay.
here, people aren't. It's definitely better than it used to be. We moved into this house. We bought this house in October, and I have more privacy than I've ever had.
Oh, good, good, good. All right, let's move into advice. Matt, you were just jumping in. I cut you off because I wanted to keep it clean, but go ahead.
I think the biggest thing is to have your own assigned space and to tell your husband that you need to get a remodel or so you have your own office. And that way there's not the inflow of people that can come in and out. And so the only person that breaks that rule is my black lab at 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay.
Only because you can't reason with a black lab, right?
No, you cannot.
Yeah. And I think probably advice going with that is like you talked about is the rules, right? When mom's in there with the doors closed,
Yeah.
unless it's critical bleeding, like you said, not to be interrupted. That would probably go with it. What else, guys? There's a whole bunch of things here.
I can use all the help you got, so feel free to shoot it at me. Because I notice, I hear when you're saying that, I hear myself saying, like, this is probably where part of the distraction comes in, but I am the mom and I am homeschooling them. And what if they do need something? And isn't that my priority, is taking care of my family? And
Yeah.
Brian's
So-
chuckling at it. So I
how many
notice.
How many hours a day are you working on your business?
How many hours a day am I working on my business? Well, it varies. I wouldn't tell you on any given day, it could be a couple of hours. If I have a client, it's going to be 1 to 2 hours with them. I try to overlap it with my telemedicine because that doesn't keep me busy, but then I can get interrupted with that.
So let me ask it this way. Your business plan,
Yes.
whether it's written down or it's in your head, how many hours a day are you supposed to be working on revenue producing?
In my business plan,
support?
I'm supposed to be working on, in my business currently, 4 hours a day.
4 hours a day. Okay.
Yeah.
So that
And I-
includes all the telemedicine, the
No,
support the
no,
clients.
no,
Okay.
I do
So give it,
telemedicine 8 hours a day.
okay.
So
So it's
that's on top
telemedicine
of,
8 plus your business 4.
yes, plus
that's
the
12.
in-office stuff I do is just every few weeks. Yeah,
Okay.
so 12 hours a day, I guess, is working.
Okay.
But I also homeschool the
So
kids.
talk to me about homeschool. How many hours a day on homeschool?
Well, they do most of it online. I do algebra with them, and then, well, I'd say 1 to 2 hours a day.
So
It's
that's
more
time
constant.
That's time you have to be with them versus just what they're doing.
Yeah, well, it's like on Wednesdays, we're out of the house at a nature day, which is 6 hours away from the house, and then taking them to activities where they're the opportunity to learn. That Myra's on me. Taking them to the YMCA, which we're doing after this to work out. I have to be with them. They can't get there by themselves.
So on an average, how many hours a day is that travel and activity?
I don't know, Brian, what would you say? Couple hours? 2 to 3 hours?
Are we still talking about the total
The
home?
kid, the
Travel,
kids,
travel
yeah.
to activities and the activities themselves and back home when she's not
Yeah,
working on her business.
probably average of 2 hours a day, let's say.
Okay. Is the kids' study time? Sorry, I'm kind of taking over with the questions. Is the kids' study time clear on the calendar and they know what it is? Because they're not going to school, right? They're strictly homeschool.
Yeah, they're strictly homeschooled.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Well, we're working on them figuring out their schedule, but it's basically in the morning before lunch when they're doing their computer work. And they know that I'm available to help during that time. So before 11 or 12, after that.
Can they interrupt you at any time during that 3 to 4 hours?
They can, yes, they can.
Which takes you away from telemedicine or your business.
Yeah, well, not away from telemedicine, because if I get a consult, they get to go away. I mean, it is what it is. If a consult comes in, I have to answer it. But if it's during the telemedicine time, then the way the telemedicine works is I'm logged in and it's basically like being on call. If I get a consult that comes in, I have 1 minute to answer it and then I'm seeing that person. So anything else gets to be put on hold at that moment.
How many hours a day are you sleeping?
I 5
Okay.
to 6.
Is it enough? Are you feeling refreshed? Ready to go?
It's not enough, but if you can solve that, you get to be my hero as well.
That's part of this. That's part of this.
I spend a lot of time wandering around at night. I'm working on trying to sleep better and working out with my,
Yep.
I also am, whatever.
We haven't even talked about workout yet, have we? How many hours a day working out?
How many hours a day working out? Currently 3 times a week, 35, 45 minutes.
Okay. Does that include travel time to it or dress time, undress time?
No, it's an hour and a half
An hour and a
with
half.
travel and.
Okay.
Can I help clarify a little one thing here? Because
Don't try to defend her.
no, this is more of a logistics or possibly even a physics issue, but when Tiffany's on her telemedicine, she's basically on call. So she just has to be ready to answer a consult if it comes in. And if it doesn't come in, it doesn't come in. So that's how she's able to stack things in a way that seem,
So when I just added So when I just added 24 hours without putting any spouse time, meal time, or family time in,
Correct.
you're able to
Right.
stack some of
Let's
that.
not, let's not even
possibly.
talk about the fact that I do all the meal planning.
Yeah.
Cleaning,
Okay.
Yeah.
the other
I'm
stuff.
not gonna say she's not doing too much, but that's how she's able to do it at all.
I
And yes,
also do stack my telemedicine shifts just for, I'm sorry, Brian, I interrupted you, but for transparency, I do some 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. shifts so that there's not other people around. On Fridays, I work from 7 p.m. until 11 a.m. on Friday. So I do a 16-hour shift so that I can get my 40 hours a week in a lot of time. That leaves me time during the day to be a homeschooling mom and run my business and meet with my clients.
Okay. Does it periodically work where you're getting your sleep is getting interrupted all night because you're on call?
Yeah.
So by the time you're done at 11 a.m., you're ready to go to bed because you may have.
On Saturday, well, there's not that many.
No. Okay.
Not that many calls that I would say that it interrupts me that I am
Okay.
not able to be with my family on Saturday.
Yeah. So Brian, let me ask you a question. What can you do to take something off your plate? We haven't even talked about what your plate is.
yeah. Well, couple things. We've been working on some delegations of things. For instance, we don't do our own laundry anymore. We send it out.
Okay.
And what's the name of the service, Tiffany? It's pretty awesome, actually.
Sud share.
Sudshare. Things like that. So low value activities.
Yep.
Working on getting cleaning crew scheduled. We just moved here, so we're kind of getting caught up with all that stuff, and getting the boys organized so they have some direction, structure, as well as increasing their responsibilities, aka chores, to help
Do you do
out.
that, or
And
do you do that, or you delegate it out?
the kids' chores.
Getting the boys organized. You just said.
Oh, getting them organized. It's something that we just have to sit down and do with them, so they have
Yeah, that's
their
not what
own
I'm asking.
calendar.
That's not what I'm asking you. Are you doing that?
Am I doing that? I am working on doing that. Yes.
Okay. I see Tiffany saying she's doing it.
Well, it's a team effort, but
Okay.
getting them organized, and then also I'm looking for things that I can pick up and take off her plate as well.
Okay.
We've talked about like cooking dinner once a week or different
Yeah.
things. Things give a break.
Yeah.
Right now,
think-
it's
Yeah, we only got 2 or 3 minutes left, and we're gonna have to jump into accountability and end on time here. But I think you can see the problem, and I think you guys already have seen the problem, right? Is there's so much stuff here in the schedule, and you've created some rules, but the rules aren't always being followed about the headphones or about when she can be interrupted. Sometimes the telemedicine doesn't work out so that you can overlap. So then that makes the day longer, right? To be able to get the hours in. So do you create a white space at all? So in case things don't go right, you're scheduled to overlap things, but at some point they don't work out. So now the day gets longer. Is there a white space in there so that it falls into that?
There isn't any white space.
White space.
White space would be what would be the time that I was going to work on my business. You
Yeah.
just dropped.
Okay.
So, honestly, that's why we're here.
Okay. Yeah. Did anybody else have any advice? I've kind of jumped in and taken over, and I apologize.
Do you?
But this is right up the coaching alley that I love, working with people on schedules and getting focused in.
Yeah. Do you outsource any of the house chores? So your specialty is in pediatrics, right? So why not hire a tutor to do the homeschooling? Why not hire someone to do the housework, like a nanny or something, right?
Travel.
Yeah, that's what I ended up doing as well, because I'm hiring constantly from outside to do the house cleaning, right? Some babysitters.
Yeah, they did say they're hiring out a laundry, but they outsource that, and they outsource the
Outsource our
cleaning of the house.
laundry. I'd be happy to outsource the cleaning. We're looking into that.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why I don't work clinical medicine and do that full time is because I actually really like my children and I enjoy my family time and I want to spend time with them. So I actually have no desire to outsource their education or the time. They're limited, the amount of time that we have with them. And before I left clinical practice, they were spending 60 hours a week in someone else's care. They don't need nannies and people to take care of them at their age anymore. Just need their
Okay.
mom.
So,
Um,
so here's a tough question. Why, with everything else you got going on, plus the telemedicine 40 hours, are you trying to start your own business?
because I want to contribute more financially than I do with telemedicine, one, but the main reason is because I actually think this work is mission critical, important for our world, and I want to create that difference.
So what's your why? Huh?
Yeah,
What's your
that's my
kind of a
why.
purpose?
Yeah.
Is there a way to downsize the telemedicine so you have more time for the business to get it going? If it's your why?
Yeah, that's that's a tricky situation, right?
Is it financial?
It's financial, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wouldn't want to lose the income until I was making it up someplace else.
Okay. Okay. I think the only thing we're going to be able to say here is some of those tricks that like Matt just started with, which is, got to go back to my notes here, right? Get that own space where it's yours. People, can't even look in. It just becomes a distraction because you can start hearing things. When you have the headphones on, the clear rules of, hey, mom can't be interrupted during this time, right? And and there's none of this come waving at me and, hey, where's the butter? Right? It can't be done, right? And then
Have you been spying on us?
I'm living my experience. My wife eats me up all the time. It's in there, Don. So and I think it's the kind of the clear schedule. When you have that much stuff in there, it's scheduling the priority stuff, but it's scheduling the non-priority stuff. And then work your schedule. Darren Hardy's a big one on the Sunday night schedule. You lay out the entire week. I'm going to telemedicine during these times. Usually I can get about this much extra done. Here's what I'm going to do on these days during this time. Here's the time where I'm going to be traveling with the kids. Here's the time where I'm going to be doing meal planning. And you almost get really, really rigorous on your scheduling. I shouldn't say almost. You get really, really rigorous on your schedule. And then you have to mentally make those as commitments, just like you said. If it's dealing with somebody else, I'm committed to it. If it's just my own business, it's easy to let go. But you got to have, that's why I think Grant Cardone talks about targets. Because when you have a target, you commit to that target. I'm going to show you something I had to do. It's probably not going to show up because I've got my, I had to sign an unbreakable challenge. You can't see it. Let me take my, I haven't had to turn it in yet, but I had to sign an unbreakable challenge. This is how much money I'm going to make. This is what I'm going to do. These are the things I'm going to let go of. And I signed it. I haven't signed it yet because I just got it, but I'm building it out. And I'm now making a commitment that I'm going to grow my business. I'm going to make this much money this year. I'm going to do these following things. And this is what it's going to take. And now you are committed to that. Time has to get done or you're not going to get there. And when there becomes a thing that comes in the way, then you and Brian have to sit down and talk about it and figure out how you're going to solve it. But it's not just you. You can't just take it on your shoulders. And I hate to say this, Tiffany, women typically do that.
Oh, we do.
Because you don't want to fail. You don't want to be seen as this. You want to be seen as the supermom. It's just the way we've created America. I'm not trying to criticize you. It's the way we've created it. And
I know it's a societal issue.
it is.
You get to change it.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to start in your house. So whenever something comes up, you got to talk about it together of how that's going to happen. It's not always your thing that falls off, but it's which thing is the low priority between the family that falls off. Okay.
Yes,
I don't know if that
sir.
helps any based on what you got. We're already at 12:30. We haven't done accountability, and I want to apologize, but I literally love working on things like this. I was working with a client yesterday, and he's trying to build his own house. He's right at the last minute getting the kitchen cabinets done next week, and the fixtures and all these kind of things. But it's still got all these things he's got to do. Plus, he's running a nonprofit basically with Crew Destino. I don't know if you know them. They're helping bringing kids to Christ in universities, and he's just got so much stuff going on. So we spent the time outlining it. When can you work on those things? What has to be done this week? What has to be done over here? And he walked away with, I just have this now clarity of where I'm going. So if I can ever sit down with you and talk to you, something like that, and that'd be included in this program. I mean, I do this as a profession, but this is part of us working together to help you, just like we would be doing LinkedIn or resumes or stuff. We don't do resumes with you guys, right? We don't do those things. So I'm willing to sit down with you and take you a little bit deeper if you want to.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that fair enough?
I appreciate it.
I hate to cut off that conversation. Does that help you any?
Yes, it's very helpful. Very
Okay.
helpful.
Don't just say that if it's not, but
No,
I'm
it
not
is
trying to doubt you.
helpful.
I want to give you permission to say no, but let's dig a little bit deeper, if that's okay.
Well, yeah.
All right, accountability. The only two of you, we lost Praven. What can we hold you accountable for the next 2 weeks?
I'll happy to go first. In the next 2 weeks, I am going to get my schedule more delineated so that I have the time to work on my business and put into action some of what we just talked about. So accountable to that. And then I'm going to complete the mission statement so then I can actually figure out what the next important thing to focus on in my business is instead of all of it.
Excellent. Excellent. Good job. I'm going to hold you accountable to that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Brian.
Next 2 weeks, plan to enroll 2 more new clients and I missed the vocabulary, sorry. Give my existing clients the best possible user experience that they can. I said that same thing last week, and I was able to do it, whether it's them getting new clients or them getting organized or whatever. So that's going on track. Just scaling at a reasonable pace so that I can, fulfill on everything that needs to go on.
So let me ask you, said give your existing clients a excellent experience. So is there specific things? You just said each of them were able to do specific things. Is there specific things you can help them do?
Yeah, so the main thing we do first is get them some quick wins. Do some things that on their communications, set them up with two-way texting and they're if they miss a call, the system texts the person and says, sorry, we missed your call, how can we help? Or a chat widget on their website.
If I can stop you, you're talking the how and the what. I just want to know results. What kind of
right.
results can
So basically it's working with them kind of at their pace, but driving it in a way that they feel like the retainer that they're paying or the subscription that they're paying is paying off in one way or another.
That's it.
So I guess the metrics on that are kind of vague, I understand, but it means something in my head. So
that's what I wanted to get to.
Yeah. So the third thing is to sit down with Tiffany and go over kind of how we're going to set up the kids' structure and our structure so she can be less burdened and able to do the things she wants to work on.
There you go. If I can give you one short thing, Tiffany, Matt and I are going through the exact same thing. And maybe it's more me, but I think Matt is doing it as well. We just haven't talked about it as much. But so I look back at my time in October, November, December, and I'm spending 31 hours a month, 31 hours a week, average over the month. And I'm spending 4 hours a week on my SAME, it's an organization I support. That's 35 hours. And I'm having medical stuff for another 2 to 3 hours. So I'm hitting 40 hours before I've even started on my personal for-profit business. And I looked at that and said, how much do I want to spend to be able to make that commitment that I just showed you? And I have to spend at least 15 to 16. So I'm taking back, and I told this to Matt yesterday in our strat planning, I'm limiting myself to 20 hours a week on MTR. I
Yeah.
want 15 hours a week on my personal business and I want 4 hours a week. So I set those huge targets. Now I'm looking at the big targets and saying, okay, how do I make that work? Because another goal of mine is to have spouse time. You know, and we go on a date night and we do all those things. So they're all in there. And I've set those hard boundaries. Now I have to figure out, that was a big picture. Now I have to figure out, how do I do that in there? So Matt and I, this is where Matt and I are working through, is if I only have 20 hours, that's why we had to go to Keep Infusionsoft. And how do we automate that and get that working? How do we get a virtual assistant, and what tasks can they take? And what things are not going to get done in this quarter, they get done in next quarter. And because I'm only going to do so much, and at the end of 20 hours, I'm done. And I don't know if that helps you any, knowing that other people are going through it, but I've had to set those times. And
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
yeah, and let you and I get back together, and we can do all three of us if we want, but we can deep dive a little deeper
Yeah,
if that would
thank
serve you. I'll send you my my calendar.
Sounds
All
good.
right. All right. I apologize for going over, but hope this was valuable. Thanks for bringing
Very
it
much
forward.
so.
Thanks for being the subject in the spotlight.
Happy to, anytime.
This was good. Matt, anything?
Okay,
So we're gonna have a on the 22nd, we're gonna have a webinar. Hasn't Matt been advertised yet? Matt's working it, but it's gonna be on burnout.
almost there.
How to avoid burnout and how to get out of burnout. That could be very valuable for you, Tiffany, maybe both of you, right? With so much going on, is how do we get out of it and how do we stay out of it? And what is burnout? And what gets us in there? And it's a lot of this cognitive piece in here about wanting to be the super mom, wanting to have all these things, you know, so. that is
I'm
just
better than I used to be.
good. Good. I'm cheering for you, man. I think this, I
You should
looking
have seen me
for you.
during my medical career. I had a lot of big titles.
yeah. All right.
I have gray hair to show for it now.
Yeah. At least you have hair.
Yeah.
Right, man?
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, thanks you guys both for being here and sticking with it. And Matt, anything? Are we done?
I really appreciate your philosophy on your family, Tiffany. It was really helpful to get a perception of who you are and your values. So that's really good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That says a lot. This is the thing about these groups, is the vulnerability is such that sometimes you clarify what's really important to you. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Thank you.
someday those kids will be gone. And you're
Yeah,
right.
Not long.
not that long.
How old
Yep.
are they?
They're 12 and a half and 14.
Yeah.
Boy, girl, girls.
Boys, two boys,
6 years could be off to college, right?
two boys. Yeah, they're the best.
All right.
I like
Don, I need to go. I got some things.
them.
All right. Well, you guys all have a great week.
Right.
See you in
Thanks,
2 weeks.
everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.